Hey, everybody, welcome to the Ronline Report. Today's guest, 212 star Aaron Clark, making a comeback at the Tampa Pro after a couple of years. It's been a long time. How are you, Aaron? Well, so good to
I'm
see you.
good. I'm great. Um, Time to come back.
I
Yeah.
have to start by I've been waiting over 6 years to make an apology to you for something. Do you know what it
Oh,
is?
man,
Any idea?
I
Okay.
don't.
This goes back to May of 2014. So after the judging of the New York Pro, me and Bob Ciccarillo did a little wrap up of the judging, and we're like going through all the classes and talking about who was probably going to do well. And in the 212 class, for some reason, Bob didn't think to mention you, and I didn't think to mention you. But who won the whole show? You did, correct?
Right.
Yes.
Yep, that's right.
And, man, so my bad, man.
Hey, you know, it was my second. It's my second year competing.
Yeah,
That was a good year for me. That was my best competitive year that I've had start to finish was 2014 for sure,
yeah.
for sure.
Because a lot of the viewers are a lot of times very new to following the sport, I'm going to sum up who you are to these younger guys. You
Sounds good.
were the 2012 USA Heavyweight Champion. That's where you earned your pro card.
That's right.
2013 was. Did you only do one show as a rookie, the New York Pro that year?
Yeah, I did the New York. I think I ended up in fourth place.
That's
Yeah.
correct. Correct. 2014, hell of a year for you. You kicked it off at the Arnold Classic, and you
Yeah.
took third place behind Flex Lewis and David Henry, two
Yeah.
legend. Obviously, Flex Lewis, my God. You beat guys like Hidetada Yamagishi, Jose Raymond, Charles Dixon. You really made a statement and put yourself on
Yeah.
the map at that show. A lot of people said, man,
It was a
that's when
big
we all
deal to
start.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're like, this guy's going to be good. Let's see the rest of that year. Geez, New York Pro, you won the New York Pro a couple months later. And Olympia, you did your first Olympia, made top six at your first Olympia that year. That's so far. That's no, you did the Olympia one more time. 2015, you came back to the Arnold again, fourth place. Texas Pro, second place to Alex Cambronero, who just won the Arnold as a
Arnold,
classic.
yeah.
Yeah, he was a good 212 guy too. Olympia that year slid down to 14, and then we did not see you in 2016 and 2017. I have never found out why. What happened after 2015 season that knocked you out of competing for a while?
A lot of different life events. So in 2015, I moved to Florida,
Okay.
started a different season of life, and um, I feel like kind of throughout that year, you see me start out, I got fourth at the Arnold, and then I kind of went a little bit downhill. By the end of the year, I was not really keeping it together, and then I decided, oh, you know what, I'm going to get bigger and do the Open after
Mhm.
2015, and I think that a lot of people will do this. They'll say they're going to take time and come back. And then, as this happens, that happens, you get involved with this, whatever it may be. And then you never really make the move to come back. It's never the right time, whatever. And so for a while, I think I was kind of in this no man's land.
Mhm.
Um, so, yeah, because then I moved back to Virginia. I was there for a while. Um, And then 2018, I should have never come back.
Mhm.
Um, it was kind of something that I feel like I was kind of grasping for. I wasn't ready to come back or really ready to do it. But in the past, if I had set a deadline like, and you're going to do this show,
Yeah,
some way or another, I would have been ready and did it.
yeah,
And I think that life doesn't always work that way, like clearly. And
yeah.
I had to really go back, reevaluate a lot of things, and just kind of get back on track.
So when a lot of guys, a lot of 212 competitors, not a lot, but a lot of them have decided over the years to move up to open, and some of them never actually end up competing in the open or ever again. It's like
Yeah,
they're stuck in that realm where they don't feel like they're really ever big enough because they keep thinking they're looking at the biggest guys in the open, like, oh, I'm
right.
not big enough. I can't stand next to Big Ramy, or I can't stand next to Cedric McMillan, or these guys. Was that in your head? Did you keep thinking you were never big enough?
I mean, it's bodybuilding, so yes, I think so. I think you always, you think of how big you were in the off season for 212, and you think, well, if I'm in the off season for open, I need to be here, not here. There's always some idea that, oh, just leave it in the oven a little longer, it's coming, but that's really not how it works. Because for the better part of that time, I've been training and I feel like I did gain a lot of muscle, and here I am. I'm 220 today, and I'll make the 212 without much. I'm hungry, but I'll make the 212.
Yeah.
So
We look at pictures. A lot of us who have an eye for physiques, we look at someone who's a 212 and talking about moving to open and thinking this guy doesn't need any more size. He looks really good the way he is. And that's
yeah,
how I felt about you. I was kind of bummed when I heard you were thinking about moving to open. I'm like, he'll be bigger, but I don't think he's going to be better because, this is your frame. This are your muscle bellies. I thought you looked pretty damn great the way you were. And I don't know whatever possessed you or any of these other guys to think that they need to be any bigger.
yeah.
Was it internal pressure? Were other people telling you you need to get bigger and do open? Where
I
was this coming
think
from?
I think um, directly or indirectly, 2015. I just said how I went downhill a little bit that year, just personally, and I think you're trying to figure out why. Like, what's the answer?
Mm.
And that was just one answer to fill in the blank with. Wasn't the right answer. It was like, well, maybe I just need to do something new.
Mm.
I was having a pretty hard time making the weight that year, but it can be done. Like when I look at my physique, even in years where I placed really high, I can still see areas that wouldn't necessarily mean I have to weigh 10 pounds more, but I could refine more. And I don't think I really just gave it enough time.
Mm.
Um, so
Yeah. Do
here
you
we are.
think, a lot of guys think they can't improve at the same weight, but
All right.
I think the classic, the newer division, has sort of shown that it is possible because these guys, most of them really, really struggle to get to whatever weight they're supposed to get to. I mean,
For sure.
George the Bull Peterson, probably the best example now at
Yeah.
212, but that guy looked friggin' crazy ripped at like 225, and he still had to, or I'm sorry, I should amend that. He would be competing, he had to get down to 192. You'd
Right.
see
That's right.
him 3, 4 weeks out. I don't know if you followed him on social media, but he looked ready at about
Yeah.
210, 212, and he went down 20 more pounds. I mean,
Yeah.
does that sort of show you guys, the 212 guys, that it can be done? You can keep getting better and better without necessarily putting on more scale weight?
I think that there's a lot to be said for, so when you're in the open, there's no number you're trying to hit. So if you think you look in shape, then you're in shape. Like, and that might not be the case. But if you have to get down to a number, like you're going to be in shape, like, because you're going to keep dieting, even when you're ready. So, like for now, me, I look at myself and I'm like, well, I'm going to be in shape, of course. Like by the time 4 weeks, like for sure. Um, and the bull, I'm not too familiar with the weights in the classic, but I know it's 192 because he's doing Tampa, I think, right?
Yeah, yeah, he is. He
Yeah,
is. Yeah, he'll be probably right around 212 in Tampa.
yeah, yeah.
I'm
I
glad. I'm
would
glad we
guess,
got.
sure.
Yeah, I mean that's another reason I was glad to hear you were in the mix for 212 in Tampa. It's nothing against the other 212 guys, but I want to see some names. He's a big name. Everyone's excited to see
It's,
his 212 debut,
yeah,
but I'm like, who's going to go up against him? Who's really going to give him a fight? You're going to give him a fight. There's one guy right here,
that's the
and that's
plan.
good.
Yeah,
I don't want to just sit there and go, okay, he wins, great, that's awesome. Like
yeah,
Ronnie, when those years when Ronnie just dominated. Uh,
yeah,
okay, so I have to go back to 2018. I didn't go to Indy Pro, but I did see you at New York Pro,
yeah.
and that was not the Aaron Clark that I knew. As soon as you
Right.
walked out, I was like, oh my God, what the hell happened to this guy?
Yeah,
You didn't look right. You were acting kind of erratically on stage. People were making all kinds of speculations as
yeah,
to what was going on with you. So I don't know if you've ever talked about an interview or not. Maybe you have. It's been 2 years. But
yeah.
what was going on with you in 2018, the spring shows?
I think it's a long downhill progression that, you know, when I mentioned back in 2015,
Yeah.
all this stuff started then. And then, you know, I would think, oh, we're getting a little better. But, you know, that was the peak, really, of like, and personally, as scary as that is, like, I feel like I almost needed to do that to like get the slap in the face, like, Aaron, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And, you know, it just took some time to go back and just clean your life out, take inventory of what are you allowing in your life, and yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like, my wife has held me accountable. I mean, that's probably the reason that I'm coming back. You know, have good people in your life that encourage you to, you know, be your best. And
Yeah. So
yeah.
that was 2 years ago, and clearly, it sounds like you weren't in a great place 2 years ago. So what changed? What really turned things around for you since then?
Well, we so I'll just life in terms of life. After that, my now wife and I, we actually started a painting company,
Hmm.
and we moved down to Panama City Beach, and we were just painting houses. And that was a massive life change. You know, I've never done anything like that other than helping someone paint. And here we were doing it for a living all of a sudden, you know, way, way out of my comfort zone. And it was a little bit less than a year, but, you know, through that, and then we came to North Carolina. But I think just getting really uncomfortable in a lot of ways, going away from maybe habits that may have been negative, you know, and all kinds of things. But that was really a big move, just like start fresh, go away. And then,
Yeah.
you know, it's
So
all been building, and it, you know, taken a while to kind of get back to, like, I was building a client base, working with all my clients until the COVID hit, you know.
mm,
Um, but just getting back on my feet and feeling ready to do it again. And this year, I decided to work with someone. I'm working with Johnny Castellana. I don't know if you know
I know
the
the
name.
name. I know the
Yeah.
name. Yeah. Yeah.
Just because in the past, I like to try to do it myself. Like, I know I work with Fakhri and stuff, but I'm not a good student. Um, but coming back, I know that, you know, I need help, and I needed someone to give me guidance and to, you know, turn the voices off telling me that to do a million things. And so it's been going well. I'm pretty pleased with it. This is actually the first prep that I've ever done that was 100% documented, that everything's written, followed to a T. So I'm interested to see the end result, for sure.
Okay. Going back to your painting company and all those, sounds like a very, very, especially where it's your company. It sounds like a lot of hours, a lot of physical labor, a lot of planning and dealing with clients and so on. Were you able to keep up your training and your eating or that time in that time, or you didn't even worry about it?
Yeah, and my wife and I would go to the gym in the morning, and
Okay.
then, you know, bring our food with us. You get contracted out to do a job, and you do it as fast as you can. Bring your meals with you. Um, you know, 'cause I wasn't competing at that time, but I kept training. Um, Even through everything, like, I've trained pretty consistently. It's always just something that I do. Um, but I know that I left bodybuilding on a really bad note. And so I know for myself, not necessarily to prove anything to anyone else, but just to prove to myself, I have to come back and at the bare minimum, at least set it right. You
Yeah.
know?
Because I'm curious, you got a lot of you were trolled mercilessly in 2018. Anybody, you could win the Arnold Classic and you show up a couple weeks later smooth, and people will say you're the worst bodybuilder of all time. People are cruel. The fans are very fickle.
Sure.
And I remember after 2018, right around that time, they were blasting you online. You were getting just ripped apart. I mean,
Yeah.
did you read any of those comments? Did it bother you?
I mean, I think that, so I've been doing this more or less since I was a teen.
Mm,
So you get thick skin, you take everything with a grain of salt. I think the biggest thing is I had some people that I thought were like really good friends of mine,
Mm.
personal friends that I, interacted with, and I saw them go online and just rip me to pieces in
Wow.
front of everyone else, and that was what really made me be like, wow,
Mm.
these people, man, like, because none of them really reached out or like did anything positive to me other than when I'm on the stake, like, just keep
Yeah.
hammering basically. So it's eye opening, man. And it makes you, like I said, it makes you reevaluate, take inventory. Who in my life is really on my side? Like what in my life is working for me, and what is just tearing me down. So
Yeah, because if I was a good friend of yours, or if I even consider myself a friend of yours, and I had been at that show, my immediate reaction would have been to come to you and say, "Is everything okay? Do you need
right,
help with anything? What's going on?" Because it was obvious to anybody with eyes, something was
sure,
not right. And if I was someone who supposedly is a friend of yours, I
right.
should be concerned about you. I should be wanting to help you in whatever's going on. So really, did anybody reach out, or they all just either stayed quiet or talk crap?
I think um, some people, came up and like, hey, if you need anything, let me know. But for the most part, I think it was pretty arm's length.
Hmm.
And that's okay, like it's a personal thing. Like nobody's going to fix my problems but me.
Yeah.
Um, it was just, it was time to go away for a little while, I guess, and, get right.
Yeah. Now, since you've been gone from the 212, we've it's already changed. The landscape's already kind of changed. Flex Lewis has retired since you left. Jose Raymond is retired, and we got guy Eduardo. I'm not sure if he's coming back. Dave Henry's still around. He's still competing, but we're
He
starting
did
to
the
see.
California last year, didn't he?
Yeah, he was at the Legion.
Yeah.
He won. I was out there to see him win. He was still phenomenal.
Yeah.
But I'm saying we're losing some of the old veterans because the class started back when as a 202 division. So
Yeah.
the people that were the pioneers back then, some of them are retiring now because they're in their 40s. Uh, how does it feel to still be a vital part of the 212, where it's going to be a lot of new names. We have new names. Well, Kamal, he's kind of new to us. He's been not so new to the rest of the world. We
Yeah.
got Kamal, we got Lunsford, we got the Bull Peterson, we got Keon Pearson moving up from Sean Clarita. And now you're coming back and you're still young. You're only 31, 32.
32. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean you're still a
31.
young guy.
31.
30. Yeah, that's right. So
Yeah.
what's it? September, October?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, you're coming back at a good time. You still have a lot of good years left in you. Was that part of what inspired you to come back?
I think, um, going back to how I said, like, have a lot to prove to me, and you see these new guys, and you're like, man, you think of how well maybe you did in the past, and you think of, well, I could have done it better too, all these things that maybe I did back then that I've improved on now. There's a lot of questions, and I'm curious to see how it all goes. Like we'll see, right?
Yeah.
But just just happy to come back and see where the cards fall. But
How did the quarantine affect you and your training? Did you always have a gym to go to?
I was very fortunate. Yes, um, had a couple places to train, and honestly, it probably worked to my advantage in terms of just doing, because a little bit into the quarantine, I was kind of going a little, like just in the house, and my wife was like, just pick a show and do it.
Yeah.
Pick a show and commit and do it. And so I was like, all right. So signed up with, I hit up Johnny, and I was like, let's do a show.
Hmm.
And they're like, all right, Tampa, go. So
Yeah.
I haven't had a really full schedule of much to take me away from this eating and training. And so, I mean, it's all as a whole sucks, but I feel like pretty fortunate that I've been able to use this time to invest in something else.
Yeah. Was it mentally challenging and all to prepare for a show when we're all hoping for the best? I'm certainly hoping that Tampa and all these shows go off as scheduled, as planned. with an audience, without face masks and all that. But was it more of a challenge because you've always been able to pick a show date and there was never a question in your mind, well, New York Pro, that'll happen on that day. Olympia, that's going to be on this day. You didn't even have to think about it, but now we have to think about everything. We're like, will it really happen on that day?
Yeah.
Yeah. So does that play into your mind
I
at
haven't let
all?
it really. I mean, of course, it's a possibility, and nobody wants that. Um, but in my head, I'm just like, well, we'll get the next one then, because there'll be a show soon, and I think the different states are in different stages. We'll see what happens, but I'm just rolling like it's going to be on the first, the second, the
Yeah.
1st of August.
You have to train for that day regardless
Right.
because you have to be ready.
It's
Um,
coming.
has this prep been different in a sense because you were gone from the sport and there were probably times when you wondered if you were ever coming back. And now, maybe do you have a deeper appreciation, a gratitude for the whole process of being able to do what you're doing right now?
Yeah, I think so. I think that as we grow older and maybe things that we accomplished in the past and you have the opportunity to build on them and do them again, you're a lot more thankful to be a part of that. Um, Lost my train of thought there.
That's okay.
So, um,
Yeah.
in terms of the prep, are you saying like how and what way has it been different?
Yeah. How's this prep different from, the last few times you prepped?
Well, one aspect is because I am working with someone this time, I'm just following everything to a T, making sure that I do my workouts 100%, and I'm not thinking of what stones I left unturned or what, knobs I need to. So that's good. It's working out. Um, I think every prep is a little bit different. I'm in my 30s now. Um, I knock on wood. I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
But you know, when like I was saying, I'm following this to a T. When I did USA's, I was eating out when I was prepping for the show, and I was winging it.
Mm,
Like I was working hard, but I was winging it
mm,
completely. And so it's different, obviously. It takes that stress away because you're always thinking when you're winging it that you're going to mess it up because it's a very large possibility. But
absolutely.
it's very different.
So you prepped yourself for USA, correct?
Yeah.
And how many most of your pro shows did you prep yourself?
So after the USA, I linked up with Fakri Mubarak,
Yeah.
and we worked together for um, a good deal of shows. I'm just being honest with it. I was not always a very good pupil, you know,
Yeah.
um, and he was very good to me, very kind and supportive. And it's one of those things you're looking back, you're like, probably should have done this or that. But at the same time, like I was sort of getting away with how I was doing things, but that
Mm,
doesn't work forever. And
right.
this time coming back, I can't afford to do that anymore, and I know that.
Yeah.
Um,
Because that's commendable because a lot of people now don't think you can even win a local show without a coach.
yeah,
You brought yourself to the pro stage for the first time with, you got yourself all the way there without a coach, and that's not easy today. Just
I think the part for me is to come back,
yeah. Um,
especially after how I left. To
right.
come back after that exit is I needed some help. Yeah.
So I've been looking at your progress pictures. You're looking fantastic. You're looking right on track. But one thing that really stood out to me was you've got your midsection back down, nice and small and tight. I remember there was a little while there where people were going crazy making fun of your midsection. I
Hmm.
think it was that time when you were trying to turn yourself into an open competitor.
Sure.
Um, and so, what were you overeating? Were you just force feeding yourself? What was going on? Because you had a gut, and now, thank
Yeah.
God, it's gone.
Well, I think it's something that I have to be real conscious of to control my stomach.
Yeah.
Um, But it's very easy if you are just focusing on getting massive, as big as you can, and it's your stomach. That's where all the food goes, right? So um, it's not even. Is I think also this is a blessing and a curse. I always stay really lean,
Mm,
even if I eat crap all the time.
yeah.
But my stomach is blown out. So I might have a low body fat, but so like I'm tricking myself thinking like, oh, I can eat this pizza and this and that. I'm not getting fat, but it has an effect on your physique.
Yeah.
Um, so I've noticed, one, I've lost a lot of weight to come down, and
Mm,
two, just eating uh, less inflammatory foods and stuff, and making sure I'm training my core frequently. Um, that's another reason to come back to 212 though. I,
yeah.
something that hopefully at that weight is not an issue.
Yeah, because you have great genetics. You could have put on a lot more size. Your gut would have gotten bigger and bigger, but I could have eventually seen you competing at who knows, like 230, 240,
Mm-hmm.
and you would not have been able to keep your midsection small. There's just no way. All that mass, some of it's got to go to your midsection.
Yeah.
We've never seen anyone do otherwise. But I'm so glad that you made this choice because you could have very easily kept going and going, getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and
Yeah.
not really seen the big picture, what was happening to your physique. I'm glad you stopped it before it became like irreversible.
Well, that's
Because
the thing too, because you look at it and people act like it's irreversible, and you're like, man, I've ruined it. It'll
yeah.
never look good again. And it's easy to get discouraged like that, but you just keep chipping away and just keep working on it.
Well, I mean, I think we saw the first glimmer of hope with Rolly Winkler a few years back because he was
Yeah.
getting a big gut,
Yeah.
and then he came back later and he had flattened it all out. So that's when we all started to realize maybe it's not a forever thing. Maybe these guys can figure it out and get their midsection smaller again. And
To an extent, I think so. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you proved it. You're proving it right now.
We'll
Um,
see, right?
yeah.
Hoping
Uh,
so.
so you've had some time to work on your physique. Were there any areas that you've really been hammering away at in particular over the past couple years?
Mm. Well, I think that I was trying to get big, 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 and
Yeah.
then as we were just talking about, you notice the waist and you're like, oh, I can't have this. Got to come in. So I think legs, definitely.
Yeah.
Um, if my legs came up, I'll be happy with that. But again, when you're working with that 212 weight, nothing can come up like a ton.
Right.
It's more of like, what is the whole picture going to look like? Everything together. I don't think in my physique there is anything really missing, but
Yeah.
there are some things that could come up.
Yeah. I mean, the pictures I saw were are we for little we're right we're speaking on the 4th of July, everybody. This won't post until a few days from now. But today is 4 weeks exactly from when you're gonna be on stage, right?
I think it's the Friday, but
It's the Friday?
about,
Okay. My point is you're in the progress pictures I saw are already a few days old, and you're in much better condition there, which was like 4.5 weeks out, much better shape than you were the last time I saw you. So you're already way, way ahead of that. You've already redeemed yourself. Now it's just these last few
yeah,
weeks of really dialing it all in. And
yeah,
I'm excited to see what you got to show for us, really.
man. Yeah, I am too, for sure.
Cool. Well, that's all. It's like I said, we're speaking on the 4th of July. You probably have a cookout to go to or something. It's prep. You're not going to be doing something too exciting today.
Yeah, maybe some
But
fish.
anybody that's really been instrumental that you want to thank as far as your comeback?
Um, well, I work with Dynamic Evolution, a supplement company. They've been real nice. The guy Brad, who runs the company, um, just stayed in touch and um, helping him market some products and um, done some videos and stuff. So he's been helpful. And then the biggest one is just my wife. Um, and I'm being serious when I don't know if I would really be coming back here otherwise, because the way that I left it was almost like I just want to run away from all of that
Sure.
um, instead of coming back and making it right. So
Yeah. And I mean, there's not too many bodybuilder wives I know who would say do a show. But maybe the situation's different because you are a professional and it is your job to compete and do all that. But a lot of wives are not too keen on the idea. Has she ever been through a prep with you yet?
One of the bad ones back in
Oh, okay.
2018. But
Yeah.
I think, when she sees the fact that maybe I did something and then it declined, and that, it kind of sits in the back of my head all the time. And it's something where you either close the door or you got to go make it right. You got two options. So I'm in a position right now in my life where I have the chance to come in and do this again. If I didn't have that chance, well, then I would have had to just shut the door.
Yeah.
But, I'm fortunate enough to be able to come and revisit and try to make it right. So,
Yeah. Like again, that's another reason I'm just, it's for your legacy. That's another reason that I'm very, very happy you're coming back because people tend to remember the last show you did, regardless of,
yep.
we're talking about a New York Pro winner, a guy who was third at the Arnold, sixth at the Olympia. You did all this in your early, you were only like, geez, 23, 24, 25 when you're doing all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, you were a young kid. You came and you were beating all these veterans, and it was exciting. You were in all the magazines, and you were a big rising star in the 212, and then disappeared. Come back a couple years later, had a terrible showing, and everyone's, you say the name Aaron Clark, and now a lot of people will only remember that last show,
Yeah.
where it breaks my heart because I'm thinking, Mike, this guy was great, and you're going to remember his comeback when things weren't right. So
Yeah.
this is gonna set things right, regardless of win or lose. You're gonna look like Aaron Clark again,
Yeah.
and remember to remind people what this guy, who you are, and what you're capable of. Because you were one of the best in the 212, and you should be again.
Yeah, I'd like to. I mean, it's cool to see the new kind of group coming in, like you said, and I haven't really competed with a lot of these guys.
Yeah,
I know, like Sean Clarita, I've competed with him. He was like kind of coming up when I was going out,
yeah,
um, but a lot of this new batch of guys, you know, it's a new game. So
yeah. And it's funny, a lot of these new kids they'll see you up there and they'll think you're a new guy because they never heard of you before.
that's fine.
who's
It's
this
fine
who's
with
this
me.
Aaron Clark guy? He's pretty good. He's really good. Well, that's it, man. I'm so excited to get to Tampa and to see you make a comeback. It's been way too long since I've seen you up there, and especially since I've seen you looking the way I know you should look, because you do have a fantastic physique. A lot of the people who remember that are very, very eager to see you show it again. So
Thank you, man. I
that's it, man.
appreciate that a lot.
Best of luck over the next few weeks of prep, and I will see you in Tampa, sir.
Sounds good, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ron.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching Ronline Report with this man, Aaron Clark. You'll see him on stage at the Tampa Pro, July 31st and August 1st, Tampa, Florida. Thanks for watching.